What's happening, people? Welcome back to another podcast of the Many Adult Troubles. In today's podcast, I have with me Devaiah Bopanna, co founder of All Things Small and also the ex head writer of All India Bakchod. The recent blockbuster ad that you have been seeing of CRED, he is the man behind all of those. So, thank you so much, boss, for giving me your time. I know I am notoriously irritating when it comes to following up with people. So, thank you for giving me this time.
No, not at all, not at all, Ayush. Pleasure to be on the show. And just to correct that, I'm not the only one who wrote the credit. It was like three of us. It was a team. Like three of us got together, and the four of us, including me, we sort of cracked the campaign and wrote all the ads. So it's a teamwork. Like any good
Yeah,
creative output product, there it's team. Yeah, I was just
right.
lucky to be part of a good team.
To start off the podcast, I want to ask about the CRED ad. What was the how did you come up with this type of ad? Because it's so, I mean, there's a hidden objective ad as the CRED like the punchline goes, it's not for everyone, right? And even people don't understand what the ad is about. And in reply to it's like तुम्हारे लिए है भी नहीं वो ad. So how did you come up with such an ad?
So I mean, the DNA of CRED is, it's rooted in FOMO, right? Like not everyone gets it,
Yeah.
so that's why you want it because you can't get it. So I think but that was like essentially the brief that we told ourselves while thinking about this, and it also helps that most of us, like I've quit advertising 6 years ago, and the others in the team I don't even think were in advertising. So it was just that we were four outsiders who were trying to take a crack at this TV commercial, and because we were out of the industry, we had no, what do you say, biases about this, or we were not like,
Yeah.
so we are not bound by rules, so we could do whatever we want, and we just did it, and we had fun, and that's how the whole campaign came up, and it was like, thankfully it was well received. Yeah. So it was just four of us having fun, man. To put it in short, we were like, "What is the most craziest thing that we can do?" And then I think the root of the idea came from Tanmay, and
Okay. Hmm.
he had this whole like, "What if we get like a celeb to do the most interesting, to sell it for us?" And then we were like, "Yeah, that's interesting." And then there were many iterations. Then it became an audition. Then we sort of started writing it, and then it eventually became what it became. Yeah.
Got it. All right. As you're talking about writing and all that, when did you discover on a personal level that okay, writing is what I want to do and not the advertising part, like the non-fiction part?
Uh, well, uh, like writing in general in life, or like the kind of writing, like comedy writing. What, like,
The
is that
general,
what you?
the thoughts that you have,
Okay, like,
which you come across
oh,
on
okay. So
Instagram and all that.
I've always been an expressive person, right from when I was a kid, and also my dad is a journalist, so he's a writer. So I think I've
Oh,
seen writing from very close quarters while growing up, right?
yeah.
So it's something I've seen. So it's something that I've seen as an accessible, form of expressing your thoughts. So I think that also played an important role in in me wanting to be a writer. And I went to engineering college because that's what all Bangaloreans do. They finish their 12th and they all go to engineering colleges. And that's where I realized like engineering is definitely not my thing, and I wanted a way out. Obviously, because my marks were terrible in engineering because I was bad at it. So
Hmm.
it's not like I had like some big offers and then I said no to them. But my marks were bad and I had to make a living. And writing is a thing that I was somewhere familiar with. And I think I also enjoyed doing it. And so right after engineering, I had no choice but to take up writing because that's the only career option I had.
What did you like
Yeah.
immediately do after college? Where did you work?
So right after college, I got an internship at Ogilvy and Mather.
Oh,
It's an
wow.
advertising agency, and so I walked in there. I knew someone who knew someone. I'd interned in a place in when I was in my second year of college under a person who had then moved to Ogilvy, and he was just sweet enough. His name is Sundar. He was just sweet enough to offer me an internship there, and then I interned there, and then I converted that. I got a job. I was there for close to 3 years, And yeah, that's how my advertising journey started. And this was way back in 2008, 12 years ago. I think most of your podcast listeners weren't born around then. I don't know if, but yeah, it was, or they might have been
No,
in
you're
their
not that old.
diapers,
2008 is fine.
trying to learn how to pee without bothering parents. So yeah, man. So it's 2008, long time ago, 12 years ago. So that was my scene.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just graduated, so I can on some level relate to the कुछ तो करना है, make a
Relate to
living
not
वाला part.
being able to relate to peeing in your pants in 2008.
No, 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 not that. All right.
Um,
So,
hmm.
how was your like? I think after this stint, you worked at AIB, right? Uh, you started working at
Yeah.
AIB as a.
So I spent about 7 years in advertising.
Hmm.
Seven, yeah, no, so not 7, yeah, 7 years in advertising. Till 2015, and 2015 is when I moved to AIB.
And how did your parents take it? Like, कि बेटा engineering कर रहा है and straight content, no relation, out of the blue.
Moving to advertising.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, just after
So
college, you joined as an intern,
yeah,
right?
so
Yeah, yeah.
I think my parents were like, honestly, see, my dad doesn't like worry so much about these things, but my mom was obviously a little disappointed because I did my engineering from a decently good college, and after that, I mean, but the good thing was I was so bad at engineering. Like, I think my aggregate was some 43% or something. Nobody in their right minds would have offered me an engineer's job. So I don't think they harbored any hopes of me like joining Microsoft or just becoming the next Sundar Pichai or something. I think that went straight out of the window at second year of engineering. So they were just okay with me doing anything as long as I was probably not doing the wrong things in life,
Yeah, yeah.
not like becoming a gangster or like a drug addict. So I think they were okay with
Yeah,
me joining advertising, which you can say after gangster, drug addiction, advertising is a close third. So yeah, so that's when I joined advertising, and they were fine with it. They were just happy that I had a place to go to during the day.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So my next question was how was your experience at AIP? But before that, because you know interned and worked in such a good company where most of the people I've never in my life met, which is weird. I've never met somebody who has worked at such a good firm. Even though I'm a marketing freelancer, I've never come across it on LinkedIn, or nobody of my friends or seniors are a part of this company. So how was the experience of working at like such a good company? Because I'm sure your basics would be very strong, even though you don't like advertising. But in advertising, the basics concept, what was the process? How was it at Ogilvy?
I mean, it was great because I worked with some fantastic people at O&M. Like, I worked with a bunch of people. Like, I think the boss of the person I work with a lot in advertising is this guy called Vipul Thakkar, who just like is a great creative leader. So I just worked under him at O&M for 3 years. Then he moved to another agency called DDB Mudra. So
Hmm.
I moved with him again. So all round the work was fantastic in those initial 4 5 years. Um, and I just saw people. The good thing about working in a very big agency that is doing great work is you see people doing great work around you at all points in time. So you want to outdo them, and you also know where the
Hmm.
bar is, right? In
Yeah.
terms of creativity, you know that you have to achieve this, and you see people around you achieving that. So automatically, your aspirations have like a new scale to hit, and you're not happy till you hit there. I
True.
think that is the best thing that can happen if you're working in a place which is which is the best at what it does. So I think, I mean, my always like for me, I think that chapter is very important in my life.
Yeah.
And I also feel that anyone stepping into advertising or marketing should always work in the best and the biggest place, or the best place where good shit is happening. You work there so that you imbibe a lot of things very early on. So yeah, so it was great fun
Got it.
working there
So
at ONM.
where should I go and work if because I love content. I am a YouTuber. I am a podcast host. I
Hmm.
I am a more of a digital marketer guy, media buying and all that. But still, I'm
Yeah,
more inclined on
yeah.
content. So where should I, like a guy like me,
I think I think like you should basically look at what you love doing, which who's you should I think you should look at which place is doing the things that you like doing, and which is the best place that is doing that. So for example, if
Hmm.
you think like a TVF or a filter copy, or like BuzzFeed or any of these places, or probably there are content creators who are doing good things, your
Yeah.
favorite content creators, I think you just write into them, just just be relentless in your pursuit about landing yourself a gig in one of these 5 to 6 places, like shortlist about 5 to 6 places, and just be like very persuasive about trying to get a gig in one of these 5 6 places. And I think
Hmm.
that should be a great place to start. I wouldn't recommend advertising to anyone who's passionate. Passion is not advertising. Like you tell me your passion is content, your passion is you content creation or being a YouTuber. So you'd rather, like, now you have those roles where you can make money just doing that. So you don't have to join an ad agency and do something else to make your money and satisfy your creative urge. But
Hmm.
I feel just pick out 5 places that you think are doing insane work and what you want to be doing, and just
Yeah.
try and start out in one of those places.
Got it. Got it. Coming back to AIB, how was the experience of working at AIB as a writer? Not as a employee or as a team, but on a writer level, how was the experience at AIB? Because AIB back in the day was, they were putting out some next level content. Because I think in YouTube, the first disruption in YouTube for me happened by AIB, because I had discovered AIB with all those funny 10 minutes, very different way of hitting the कि अच्छा ये बोलना चाहते हैं.
It was for me. I think it is the best. It was like, I keep saying this, that I'm glad that I at least got to have the best job in the world at least once in my life. So it was a mind-blowing place, man. It was I don't know, there's no place like that for me. And I also, the thing is, seeing the place grow was another great kick. And
Yeah.
just as a writer, just learning from the best in the business on a daily basis, spending like 12, 14 hours with them, learning how to write, understanding their process, and how they approach their work, really, I think, changed me as a writer in so many good ways and as a person. So I think for me, that is going to be like one of the most cherished years of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So uh, while the decline of AIB happened, what was the situation like? How was the team
There was no
responding?
decline of AIB.
No, I mean
You mean like
the
when the AI, when things decide when they decided to shut down?
yeah, yeah.
So I mean, obviously there was disappointment, and yeah, there was this disappointment, and like was a little disheartened for a bit about what happened and how things ended, because I think the important part was the shock, right? You didn't see it coming, like just
Yeah.
it's going, and then one day, like, it's
Yeah.
not there. So I think that suddenness to the end kind of made it a little more hard to swallow. But yeah, it was not easy.
Got it. Coming back to writing, what is your creative process? Like, can you like? I have asked these questions to a lot of content creators, and they're like, ki, they're not able to answer it like accurately. What is your creative process? I'm sure you're a very good. You have a different way of communicating what you think. So, what is your creative process? Can you go through like through maybe CRED ka example deke, or uh, yeah,
See, I think I think a lot of people, like, I think what the mistake I used to make is I used to mistake craft, like the craft of writing, as a very important aspect of writing or creation, which I realized is not. The most important part, or the most important and critical point in content creation, is your content, is your thought, is your idea, what you're writing. So I generally never put pen to paper till I'm 100% sure of the idea. So even if I'm say writing a sketch, or say writing an ad, or say writing just like a post or like an article,
yeah,
till I'm sure of what. So first is like what do you want to write, and then you'll be like, okay, like results are coming out, so let's do a sketch around results, right? So if that is an example,
Hmm.
I generally till I mean we think of an idea on what the sketch is going to be about, like what is the angle. Like I think that is the most important thing. Do you want to put out a sketch that what do you feel about it? Do you feel results are important? Do you feel results are not important? Do you feel marks are bullshit? What do you feel about it? Like, for me, that is very important, what I feel about it. Let us for a second assume the whole world is dumb and whatever they feel about it is not valid. Because what happens is there's a lot of preconceived notions. Like, people keep saying this thing that results don't matter,
Yeah.
right? They just keep saying that, like, marks don't matter. It's okay if you fail. But I mean, I just like, I'm like, sometimes take a step back. Is that true? Like, is that true, or you're just saying that so that, people feel good? So you kind of go very deep into these angles. Like, is that true that marks don't
Hmm.
matter? No, I feel no, marks matter. Marks, of course, marks matter, dude. India has a population of 1 point whatever 4 or 5 billion people, and how can you say competition doesn't matter? Because if you think marks don't matter, then tomorrow someone else will come take your job. So now for me that is an angle. Yeah, marks matter, but it's not the
Hmm.
only thing that matters, right? That is the key. But what people are saying is that marks don't matter at all. It's okay if you don't do well in your exam. You don't work, this. So, but I feel marks matter, but it's not the only thing that matters. So, essentially, just go very deep into what you want to talk about or what you want to write about, and understand the truth behind everything, behind your assumptions and behind
Hmm.
your ideas, behind the assumptions of what people are making on the topic, behind the ideas of what people think about it.
Yeah.
And then I feel somewhere you unlock like a very unique point of view on, hey, okay, you want to say something like marks matter, but it's not the only thing that matters. Uh, what results prove to you more than the marks is it helps you sort of understand competition in life. uh,
Yeah.
it helps you sort of understand hard work in life, what hard work means. And it's a very good barometer of, like, see, we are not farmers, right? Like, if we were nomads and we were brought up on farming, right from our childhood, we would have seen a very proper correlation to hard work
Yeah.
and yield, right? Like, you sow and then you work hard through the year and your crop yields, and then you see you got a good yield because you worked hard through the year, you woke up on time, you watered
Correct.
your plants, tilled it on time, you took care of it well, and you spent hours on the field, and now you see the output, right? Now we are all urban dwellers. So I think, like, for example, marks are a very good indication of that it reflects, like, as a kid and in our early years, it's now taught us that it's a great way of teaching that work hard and this is what you're going to get.
Yeah.
So for us, that is the parallel that you derive from, say, results, right? So there
Hmm.
is a deeper meaning to all these things. So for me, it's like going into the deeper meaning and then unlocking those truths, and then figuring out what is the easiest way to say these most complicated thoughts. Like, if we are doing a sketch about it, like, what is the way to sort of express these thoughts that you have? All right. And that is step two. And then you figure out a sketch idea around it, like, or a article around it. Like,
Yeah.
okay, like, is it going to be like an interview format? Like, it is, is it an interview between you and God, for example? And now that just becomes like maybe a funny situation where God is asking you for your results before allowing you into heaven. And then you're like, hey, marks don't matter, but God is like, no, fuck you, marks matter. What you did there matters before you get into heaven, because this is your result. So I'm just saying, I'm just ranting right
Got
now,
it.
but
Yeah. We get the
what
point.
I'm
Yeah.
saying,
Uh.
yeah, the thought matters. So it
Hmm.
takes time to unlock those thoughts, and then presenting it in a format that is most accessible to people, most easiest way for you to express it, effective way for you to express it, and a way in which you're comfortable expressing it. So that is the next step. So then once you zero in on the format, and that's when you start writing. So writing is in fact the last
Oh.
step in, if you ask me, in content creation. I mean, that's my process. For me, thinking is the most
Hmm.
important part.
Yeah.
After thinking comes writing, but most of the time we skip this part of thinking and we directly go to writing. So yeah, that's
So, what is
generally what
the
I do.
average time before you even write your first word for a sketch?
See it so it comes like, it keeps reducing the more you do it. So
Yeah.
sometimes what we used to do is we used to just think of ideas for 4 or 5 days at a stretch, and
Hmm.
formats, and how to present it. And then once we all like find an idea, and then when you find a good idea, you know it, and you share it with a friend, you share it with your colleague, and they're like, hey, this is nice, and that's when you start writing it. So
Hmm.
I mean, it depends. Like, I think, but with experience, that time keeps getting shorter, because like what you want to do,
100%.
what you want to say. So you make lesser mistakes. You're not, you like, so many times in the early days you think a thought is very good, and you start chasing that thought, only for you to realize later it's not very good. But right now what happens is, with experience, you know which thought to pursue, which one to leave alone. So
All
yeah.
right. So, for a creator, content creator who's just starting out and uh, who's because there's so much saturation already, कोई भी topic उठाओ उस पे there is already like 10 to 15 videos there. So it's very important
Mm,
to be unique. So what do you think is a process that a new guy, new content creator who is trying to create good script or good video content should
mm,
follow? Like, because
mm,
if I take my personal example, I just write, like, if my topic is I am a failure, or I'll just, as you said, I just keep on writing, and then at the end I'll just clear out the bullshit, and जो main part हो गया उसको shoot करके बस upload कर दिया. But I don't think that is the right way to go. So what would you like
mm.
advise somebody who is going through
I
this?
think I think it's the same thing. Like, for example, if your topic is I am a failure, I feel you should spend a lot of time thinking about it. Like, if you want to make a video on I am a failure, so you basically want, like, your audience will be consuming a video on failure, right? So you have to understand what is failure in the first place. You have to spend time in understanding the truth about failures.
Hmm.
Like, why does failure happen? What is the most why what is the cause for failure? What is the feeling of failure? Why do people fail? Like, what is the concept of failure? Like, I think you go very deep into those things and thoughts. And because when your thought is good, right, it sort of automatically cuts through the clutter. Like, someone watching your video on failure will be like, shit, yes, this is so true. I feel this, but I had never seen this before, or
Hmm.
I felt all these things, but I
uh,
never knew how to say it, or nobody told this to me
yeah,
in this way.
subconsciously.
So I
Yeah.
think that, yeah, subconscious, you're unlocking subconscious, right? So
Yeah.
so I think the last step is writing. So the first step is you think. Then like, you filter out, and then you also look at the internet to see what people have done on failure. And sometimes that helps you also, saying that, hey, this is a good point, but that person has not gone deeper into this, I have another take on this. So even that sort
Makes
of
sense.
helps in
Hmm.
writing. And to come back to your question on how to stand out, um, well, I feel like, if you think through things well, if you put your unique point of view on things, it will automatically stand out. Like, I know what you're saying. There's already so much content on so many topics.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, look at love. Love is the most universal emotion. Every other movie coming out is a love story, but still you have people making love stories, and you still have big love story movies every year standing out and becoming crazy hits, and you relating to a new love story a new movie that's a love story every
Yeah.
year,
100%.
despite you being overexposed to this emotion. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, that was the best answer I've ever gotten on creative process. Right. Uh, Coming back to AIB, not AIB specifically, but the people, Tanmay, Rohan, and all those people. These are some of the best when it comes to marketing, when it comes to YouTube and all that sketches. How was the experience? Like, how was the experience of working with these guys? And with that, I mean, what are the qualities that you notice that, okay, this is the quality that makes Tanmay Tanmay or Rohan Rohan, and this is why I'm here?
I think it's very easy question. Hard work, just hard work and the pursuit of excellence. I've never seen any of these guys or anyone for that matter who's successful in this field not working hard. Um, so I mean, like these guys spend hours honing their craft, and even after that, they just push themselves to the limit to make sure things are really good. They never settle for anything that is second best. They never leave the writing room, or they never like say, "Hey, I'm tired. Whatever's done, let's just make this." That has never happened. If they are not sure of what is being written, they will sit and rewrite and write 1,000 times till they are sure. So it's essentially it comes down to that. This is like phenomenally hardworking people who spend hours doing this every day and try to sort of go closer to excellence at every stage. This is common in all four of them.
Like from the outside, this looks like a so itna hi tha. It looks like a simple answer because to me, when I see Tanmay, I'm like, yeah, he is born with this talent. He has this knack of cracking
Oh, see,
jokes.
I'm. They're all born. I feel they're all insanely talented. All right, like definitely more talented than normal people are. And but I think the X factor is the hard work. They could be so talented, but if there's no hard work involved and hours, um, you can be talented at running, right? Like Usain Bolt is a talented runner, athlete, but if he doesn't practice, he will just become fat. So there's no point being a talented runner if you're unfit, correct? So
Hmm.
they're like, I think it's that these guys are match ready. Their creative fitness levels are insane.
Got it. Coming to all things small, not a lot of people know about all things small. So could you just tell the audience what is all things small? What do you guys do and all that?
So it's a media company. We have a media outlet called 52, which just got launched 3 weeks ago. It's called 52.in. So it's a journalism portal. Mainly right now we're concentrating on long form journalism. So that is up, and then we do a lot of adaptations of true stories. So we make documentaries, we make podcasts, we make a lot of. We are now getting into making fiction adaptations of true stories, developing a lot of stuff. And of course, we do a lot of branded content. We have this show called Decode with Dhruv on Netflix, YouTube,
Yeah.
and yeah, and we do a bunch of things. So yeah, and we also work with a lot of brands on their branded content solutions. So yeah, it's a mix of all these things. So I'd like to call it a new media company.
Right. So
Everyone likes giving names nowadays. So here, take one more, new media company.
so there's this podcast by Harsha Bhogle as well, right? Mission. I forgot the name. Mission Isro. I think
Yes.
that is your project as well.
Yeah, that's done by ATS. Yeah.
Got it. And now coming back to a very different question. I mean, for you it may be very
Hmm.
simple, but for like a 21 year old guy like me who is watching this podcast, how do you guys make this happen? Because when I look at you, I'm like कि यार Netflix के साथ कैसे collab कर लिया और ध्रुव राठी के साथ कैसे
Hmm.
collab कर लिया and that thought process.
Hmm.
How does this
Hmm.
or like what how does this happen? The process, the procedure.
See, I think like all these things, like none of these things have happened overnight, right?
Yeah,
So these are honestly like I've spent 12 years in the business.
mm,
So and
true.
this is a result of that. All the contacts you made in the last 12 years, all the work that you've done in the last 12 years, it always keeps building up to something, right? So this is that. So I don't think a 21 year old should feel like any grief or should compare themselves to like, hey shit man, how do I just go and work with these guys? Like how do I just go and collab with these guys? So you can't. Like you're 2021, like you're starting out. So I feel that it's just that it takes some time. Just put in the years and you'll start making your contacts and you'll start making work. But most important thing is your work should be good. So you can make all the contacts in the world, but if you're not known for your work, then it just becomes very difficult. So so always, I think you need to associate yourself with good work, and then it's a matter of time before people start noticing you, and they want to collaborate or work with you. So I feel 2021, I feel like, your goal should be like, what do I do in 2 years time? Correct. And how do I and you need to have realistic goals. Like, it's very easy, because the problem is nowadays you kind of put a number to your goal, and because everything is measured, right? Like, your creativity, unfortunately, is you think is measured by the number of subscribers you have, which is not true. Or number of followers you have, it is not true. It's the kind of people who are following you that makes more of a difference. So I think you need to have realistic goals, and don't put a number to it in terms of, so I have 0 subscribers on YouTube. Okay. So but I work for like a lot of YouTubers, so my game is very different, right? So not everyone has to become a content creator to be somebody in the content world. um, and you will find your niche. So I feel, have very realistic goals, and do things that genuinely interest you, that you don't mind spending like 15, 16 hours a day doing. Because if you are genuinely not a content creator, or if you're genuinely not a, like, let's look at it like that. If
Yeah.
you're not a dancer, but
Mhm.
dance content is doing well, and you want to be a dancing content creator, it will never work out for you. So so I think you genuinely need to look at yourself inward, and be like, what do I genuinely love to do? And this, answering
Yeah.
this question itself, is some time. You might think, hey, I genuinely want to be a comedy content creator, and you might do it for 18 hours a day the first 6 months, and then you might not feel it, and then it's
Yeah.
time for you to move on. It's okay. And I genuinely see, it's a very long game. It's a very long game. It is not a 1 2 year game, right? It's like you have to give yourself 5 6 7 years maybe, for you to kind of start doing something with your life with it.
Hmm.
But I just feel that the most important part is, you just need to keep working hard, and don't like, you should not attach results
Yeah, that was
in
a
terms
yeah.
of number of followers
Hmm.
to how you are feeling. uh, I think that is the most important point here. Like, you should not attach like
Don't attach effort
these
with results and yeah.
don't attach these metrics with how you feel more than
Hmm.
anything else, right? Because then you might work really hard for 18 hours a day for 1 week. You might put out a video, and you might just get 1,000 views, or even lesser. And then what happens? You will start feeling very discouraged, and
Yeah.
then you will start finding faults in yourself, and you'll start hating what you're doing.
Hmm.
So I feel
Correct.
numbers are just numbers at the end of it. It depends on how you want to feel.
Correct.
And I feel that yeah, I think that is what I want to say. Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. So going back to 20 or 22, 23-year-old Dave, what advice would you have given to him?
I, dude, so I will tell you the reality of this industry. All right.
Yeah.
When I was 20 22, there was nothing called YouTube creator. Okay.
Yeah.
There was no YouTube. There was YouTube. There was no mobile phone internet. There was no smartphone. Already, the max you could do on your phone is call people. That's it. Okay, and that too if you had good network.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and let's look at it as recently as possible. All right, 2017, man. When we were there, 2017, we were like, fuck, Facebook is the thing. All right, we didn't even think of Instagram.
Hmm.
In 2017, we didn't even think of Instagram. Forget TikTok. I don't even think existed in 2017 for
It
us.
did not. Yeah.
But look at where we are in 2020. Just 3 years ago, Facebook doesn't exist for us anymore. Like, nobody's on Facebook. And TikTok is a huge thing. I mean, now it's banned, but short form micro content creation is huge, and that's where the numbers are.
Yeah.
So the thing is, you have to be ready for change at all points in time. I mean, maybe that's what I would tell myself. Just keep yourself ready for change at all point in time, and just keep adapting. Maybe you might not be huge on Facebook. Maybe then you try Instagram. Maybe you don't get big on Instagram because your style is not good enough. And then maybe TikTok comes along. You were always meant to do TikTok, and you were trying something on Facebook, Instagram, and now you try that on TikTok and you become huge.
Yeah.
So what you
Hidden
might be
talent.
very good at might not even still be invented, or it might not even still be in the market. So you just keep changing, and you hit gold mine somewhere.
Correct. Correct. So, with the current situation, like the media situation in India, what do you think is the solution to like journalism in general? Okay, कब मिलेगा अच्छा journalism? Like I know you guys at ATS are trying to work on that, but on a broader level, what's happening with Indian journalism, Indian media?
I think till when people start paying for the news, you will have bad journalism, right? Because what happens is news. How will news channels make money? Through advertising. How will
Correct.
advertisers? Why will advertisers come to your news channel if you have reach?
TRP.
How will you get reach? You can't get reach by talking very smart things on a daily basis. You can't get reach by just talking about the economy. You can't get reach by talking about realistic solutions to a pandemic, because it becomes boring after a point in time. How many
Mm,
times have you read an article on the pandemic, or like the vaccine for a pandemic? You might have just glanced through the headlines, but you've never gone deep into it and read articles on it, right? How many times have you tried to figure out, hey, what's happening with the economy? Let me just read up some very detailed economic reports, but you don't do that. So what the news channel is going to do is they're going to do what is easiest and the lowest common denominator understand. So they will talk about like they will invent stuff. They will talk about like cocaine. They will talk about Bollywood.
mm,
Because this is like what everyone
eyeball.
understands. It's
Yeah.
very, yeah, you don't need like a lot of knowledge to understand what's like Bollywood. So you'll just keep like lowering the bar so that you're doing dumber shit, so that there is mass acceptance of what you're doing, so that you're getting your big numbers, so that advertisers are paying you for making the news. So till there is a good revenue model for the news journalism
Hmm.
industry, which doesn't depend on the number of people
Watching the,
watching
yeah,
watching you.
makes sense.
You will automatically keep having bad uh, news cycles
So
in the
directing this
country.
question to ATS, how is ATS planning to finance its good journalism if it does not capture eyeballs? Because you guys must be capturing the smart audience, the next millennials, the Gen Zs who are going to take control, the next people online. So how are you planning to finance the good journalism part? Because as you mentioned, good journalism, smart journalism, पैसा नहीं है इसके पीछे क्योंकि इतना eyeballs नहीं है.
There are multiple ways of doing this, and one encouraging thing is people do pay for it. So if people like your product, they will pay for it. And so I mean, it's as simple as that. Like people will start paying
Hmm.
for your news or for your journalism if they like it. They start supporting you for it. So I mean, there are multiple ways we are monetizing. But yeah, at the end of it, I'd like to say that it's not like people don't pay for it. People pay for it, but your journalism has to be good.
Got it.
Yeah.
Coming back to a non-media question, a person-to-person question, what kind of people do you like working with?
I like working with people who are very open to, like, what do you say? Like people who don't. They're just very interesting people. I like working with interesting people. I like working with people who have different backgrounds that are not as same as my background. They're not similar to my background. I like working with people who
Who can add
love
new
to
things to
adapt.
you,
Like,
basically.
they'll be like, okay, we'll think of, you can bring a new dimension, and who don't mind like saying like, hey, let's trash everything, let's restart again. Like, I like working with hardworking people who like to adapt and who are not from a very similar space as me. Yeah.
Got it. Again, a person directed question. What do you think is the X factor in you personally? आपको क्या लगता है?
I have no clue. I mean, I
सोचा तो होगा कि यार
I don't know. I think
ऐसे हो रहा है.
I'd like to. No, I think for me it's just simplicity. Like, I just genuinely, I just like to cut out all the bullshit. I'm very simple in like in what I think, and I think a lot of people just don't do are not simple. Like, feel I just feel that I'm always. I think I'm inquisitive. I think I'm very inquisitive about things. I like to ask why 100 times about everything. So I
Curious.
think that sort of curiosity, I think, is what helps me if there is something that is helping me. Yeah.
Got it. And do you think you are at your potential, like peak potential, or do you think there's something stopping you from that?
I mean, I'd like to believe I'm not at peak potential, because it will be very sad if this is my peak potential. So, so I'd like to believe that I'd like to believe I'm going to get better. I'd like to believe there are bigger things that I'll be doing. I'd like to believe that everything that I've done so far will be very. I will look back at it and not like it so much in a few years. It's very dangerous if you
Hmm.
look back 10 years after, from now, and say like, hey, fuck man, 2020, what work I did, that was insane. Like, then there's something that's gone wrong. So I'd like to ideally hate what I'm doing right now, 10 years down the line, and I think that
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is hopefully where I'm with peak potential.
So what are you looking towards next? Like what is next for you in the like 2-3 years?
I think next 2-3 years, I definitely want to do a lot more long form content, um, and try doing long form content for me, because I think I've done enough short form content like YouTube and
Long form as
advertising.
in
So I
documentaries,
want to
films?
like try and understand. Yeah, docu series, adaptations, fiction, like movies. So yeah, anything long form is what I want to do and have something out in the next 2 to 3 years.
Got it. Coming back to the Indian content industry, what is your biggest fear for this industry in the next 2 years?
Nothing. I think it's going to boom. I just feel I feel the industry is going to boom. I feel the industry is going to become more democratic. Internet speeds are going to increase all over the country, so anyone can become a creator.
Yeah,
Anyone has access to knowledge. Anyone has access to videos. Anyone has access to internet. So I think the industry is going to thrive, and you will get a lot more voices. It won't just be like urban Indians making content anymore. You will get a lot more variety. You will get a lot more voices. Sure, it might not be to your liking, or it might not be to your taste, but I think there is going to be something for everyone in the next 2 to 3 years, and I think it's like an amazing time.
yeah. Coming to this, like the democratic thing you mentioned, with in the next 2-3 years, I think the current influencers, the top five, maybe the top 5 to 10 influencers that we see, they have a
Hmm.
lot of concentration of followers, right? And in the next 2-3 years, if they keep on creating content, that is only going to increase. And with the next 500 million users, which is supposed to be come online in the rural India, second and third
Hmm.
tier cities, and all that, do you think like maybe in the next 5 years you will see YouTubers standing for elections or and taking control over, getting power basically?
Of course, 100%. Like, it's going to, like how movie stars stand for elections and win elections, I see no reason why a YouTuber will not. And it's very possible, and I think it's already happened, right? Like, I think someone in Delhi who stood for elections was a TikTok influencer. I don't know if they won, but they certainly stood for elections from a major party. So I feel it is definitely possible, like, YouTubers, because see, the line between famous celebrities, your offline celebrities and online celebrities, is going to vanish, because
Hmm.
everyone has to be an online celebrity. Because movies are also online now, right? So that line is going to blur. So everyone is going to be an online celebrity. There's not going to be this distinction that, like, hey, he's a digital celebrity, he's a YouTuber, and this person is a movie star. So I think those lines are going to blur. So I feel it's highly possible that you will have maybe a politician leading a mainstream political party who could be a YouTuber. Yeah.
Correct. All right. Before asking my last question, this question just popped in my head. You mentioned the movie thing. With the theaters not working during the COVID situation, and we saw a few films which were supposed to release on theater. They were
Yeah.
streamed on Amazon Prime or Netflix. So, like, how does the
Yeah.
system work? Does Prime or Netflix just purchase the film at a given cost of production or something like that? What is the business model that goes behind this?
See, it's many different things. Like, they can come in at a very early stage and say that even before you go on set, that we want to produce the whole thing. So then, like, they can do that. Or, like,
Oh,
if
okay.
you've already shot a film, they can then come and just purchase the whole film. Like, even purchasing the whole film, there's many aspects to it. Are they just buying the India rights, or for how many years they are buying it? Like, are they buying just India rights for 2 years, and you get to keep the other foreign rights, or do they want to outrightly buy it? So it's an IP game. It's an IP game. So there are various ways they structure the deal, and it's basically how you want to sell it and how they want to buy it. So it comes down to that.
Got it. All right. All right, boss. Final question. These are the three questions that I ask in every podcast. Three books, three podcasts, and three life lessons that you would want to share with the audience.
Wow, three books. There's so many books, actually. Like, I don't know. Like, for me, like, three that I remember right now, most recent would be this book called Ride of a Lifetime by Bob Iger. I think that's his name. Uh, it's so he was the CEO of Disney. He was the chairman, I think, of Disney. So
Okay.
if you're a content creator, I think that book is very interesting to see how content game has changed over the last 30, 40 years from where it was and how far it's come. So I think that book is like quite fascinating. And I mean, fiction, I would rate like this book called The Illicit Happiness of Other People quite good. Like, it's a very good, like, book. It's filled with ideas and
Yeah.
on how to, like, basically ideas. So that, and written very well. Then the third book would be like, recently I read this book called Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell.
Yeah, I have read that
I
book.
think this was a very interesting book on how the human
True.
mind works, and talks
Mm.
about legacy, it talks about hard work, it talks about a lot of things. So I think these are the three books that I would say is very nice. Three podcasts. I mean, so many, like, I just became a podcast person in the last 1.5 years, actually. So I think Dropout was very good.
The startup. It's a startup book,
It's
right?
about yeah, it's about that it's about that biology company that
Raised $1 billion and did not have a product.
raised $1 billion. That one, Dropout, is good. Then there's so many, man. Like, I think Revisionist History I really like. It's by Malcolm Gladwell, so there's plenty of seasons of it. So whenever I'm bored, I just go listen to that.
Hmm.
That has been fascinating. And what are the other ones? Please listen to Mission ISRO. I just subtly
100%.
plug, plug that in. So yeah, and three life lessons.
Yeah.
Three life lessons, I mean, for me would be, never make a boring mistake. because all of us are going to make mistakes, but like just make sure the mistake is epic. Like
Epic,
it's like
boring
when you talk about
mistake.
it, yeah, like it's just like if you have to make decisions, like that's one filter I have when I make decisions. Like, is this decision, if it's going to be the wrong decision, it better be like the
Different
craziest
decision.
wrong decision ever. Like it's different wrong decision. Can't be like the same. Can't be a safe decision that went wrong. Um, shit. What are the other two? I'm no sage, but uh,
You can think
I
about
think
it.
I think I have to be very boring and cliched. There is no substitute to hard work. This is the most generic, basic advice, but the most truest advice. There is no substitute to hard work. I just sound like some class 8 teacher, but guys, it is true. Um, then the third life lesson would be the third life lesson would be, I think, if like you should be prepared when you where you should be really prepared uh, when you get to the right place at the right time, because one day you will be at the right place at the right time, but
Hmm.
if you not put your years of preparation into it, you will just let the opportunity slip. So we constantly keep working towards one day being at the right place at the right time.
Yeah,
So
yeah. All right, guys, that was Devaiah Bopanna. Thank you so much, boss, for giving me your time. I have linked down his Instagram handle, his LinkedIn handle. I've also linked down All Things Small's Instagram handle. Go and follow, check it out his content. And yeah, thank you so much, boss, for giving me your time.
thank you so much. It's a pleasure being here.